I really miss reading chapter books to you. And right before we left, we finished our last book, and I was going to start uh, The Unteachables by Gordon Corman, which is, he's a great author. A lot of funny stuff, but he does a lot of funny stuff with serious stuff in it. Remember how we talked about that roller coaster? That when authors write about serious issues, they put in humor so it's not always so serious and sad or serious and angry. It does that roller coaster to give you a balance during the story. And I think this is going to be one of those books, like a roller coaster to give you a balance between funny and serious. So I'm going to start with The Unteachables, Chapter 1. And it is dedicated to, for all the teachers who soldier on. And I think that's what we're all doing right now. We're soldiering on. Chapter 1, Kiana. It's no fun riding the school with Step Monster, not with Chansey screaming his lungs out in the back seat. Don't get me wrong, I cry too if I just figured out that Step Monster is my mom. But at 7 months old, I don't think he's processed that yet. He just cries. He cries when he's hungry. He cries when he's full. He cries when he's tired. He cries when he wakes up after a long nap. Basically, any day that ends with a Y, he cries. There also seems to be a connection between the volume control of the gas pedal of the SUV. The louder he howls, the faster Step Monster drives. Who's a happy baby? She coos over her shoulder into the back seat, where the rear-facing car seat is anchored. Who's a happy big boy? Not him for sure, I tell her. Hey, school zone, you better slow down. She speeds up. Motion is soothing to a baby. Maybe so. But as we slalom into the driveway, swerving around the parked parents dropping off their kids, and screech to a halt at the entrance, it turns out to be one motion too many. Chauncey throws up his breakfast. Suddenly there's cereal on the ceiling and dripping down the windows. That's another thing about him. His stomach is a food expander. It goes in a teaspoon and comes out 5 gallons. Get out of the car, Step Monster orders frantically. You have to come in with me, I protest. They won't let me register without an adult. She looks frazzled, and I guess I don't blame her. That much baby puke must be hard to face. I'd run home, change him, and wipe down the car. Wait for me, 10 minutes, 15 at the most. What can I do? I haul my backpack out of the SUV, and she zooms off around the circular drive. I don't even have a chance to make my usual cheese joke. That's what it smells like when he barfs. When I first came from California to stay with Dad and Step Monster, I thought they ate a lot of Italian food. That was a disappointment, one of many. Oh, so his barf smells like cheese. Oh, gross. So there I'm in the front of the Greenwich Middle School watching swarms of kids arriving for the first day of classes. A few of them glance in my direction, but not many. New girl, who cares? Actually, the new girl doesn't care much either. I'm a short timer. I'm only in Greenwich for a couple of months while Mom is off in Utah shooting a movie. She's not a star or anything like that, but this could be her big break. After years of paying the bills with bit parts in sitcoms and TV commercials, she finally landed in independent film. Well, no way could I have gone with her for 8 weeks. Not that I was invited. Eventually, the bell rings and the crowd melts into the school. No Step Monster. I am officially late, which isn't the best way to start my career here. But short timers don't stress over things like that. Long before it could come back to haunt me on my report card, I'll be ancient history. I check on my phone. It's been 20 minutes since 10 minutes, 15 at the most. That's SST, Step Monster's standard time. I try calling, but she doesn't pick up. Maybe that means she's on her way and will be here any second. But a lot of seconds tick by. No barf-encrusted SUV. With a sigh, I sit myself down on the bench at the student drop-off and prop my backpack on the armrest beside me. Step Monster, her real name is Louise, isn't all that monstrous when you think about it. She's way less out of touch than Dad, which might be because she's closer to my age than his. She isn't actually thrilled with the idea of having an 8th grader dropped in her lap when she's getting the hang of being a new mom. She's trying to be nice to me. She's just not succeeding. Like when she strands me in front of a strange school when she's supposed to be here to register me. The roar of the engine jolts me back to myself. For a second, I think it must be her, but no, a rusty old pickup truck comes sailing up the roadway, going much faster than even Stepmonster would dare. As it reaches the bend in the circular drive, the front tire climbs the curb and the pickup is coming right at me. Acting on instinct alone, I hurl myself over the back of the bench and out of the way. The truck misses the bench about a centimeter, and the side mirror knocks my book bag off the armrest, sending it airborne. The contents, binders, paper, pencil case, gym shorts, sneakers, lunch, are scattered to the four winds, raining down on the pavement. The pickup screeches to a halt. The driver jumps out and starts rushing after my fluttering stuff. As he runs, papers fly out of his shirt pocket, and he's chasing his own things, not just mine. I join the hunt, and that's when I get my first look at the guy. He's a kid, like around my age. "Why are you driving?" I gasped, still in shock from the near miss. "I have a license," he replies, like it's the most normal thing in the world. "No way," I shout back. "You're no older than I am." "I'm 14. He digs around in his front pocket and pulls out a laminated card. It's got a picture of a stupid face over the name Parker alias. At the top of it says professional license. Provisional license. Provisional, I ask? "I'm allowed to drive for family business," he explains. "Which is what, a funeral parlor?" "You almost killed me." "No, on the farm," he replies. "I take produce to the market. Plus, I take my Grams to the senior center. She's super old and doesn't drive anymore." I never met a farmer before. There aren't a lot of them in LA. I knew Greenwich was kind of in the boonies, but I never expected to be going to school with old MacDonald. He hands me my book bag with my stuff crammed in every which way. There's a gaping hole where the mirror blasted through the vinyl. "I'm running late," he stammers. "Sorry about the backpack." He jumps into the pickup, wheels it into the parking space, and races into the building, studiously avoiding my glare. Still no sign of the stepmonster on the horizon, and I call again, straight to voicemail. I decide to tackle the school on my own. Maybe I can get a head start filling out the forms or something. The office is a madhouse. It's packed with kids who, A, lost their schedules, B, don't understand their schedules, or C, are trying to get their schedules changed. When I tell the harassed secretary that I'm waiting for my parent and or guardian so I can register, she just points to a chair and ignores me. Even though I have nothing against Greenwich Middle School, I decided to hate it. Who can blame me? It's mostly Chancey's fault. But let's not forget Parker McFarmer and his provisional license. My phone pings. A text from Stepmonsters. "Taking Chancey to pediatrician. Do your best without me. We'll get there ASAP." As soon as possible. The secretary comes out from behind the counter and stands before me frowning. "We don't use our phones in school. You'll have to turn that off and leave it in your locker." "I don't have a locker," I tell her. "I just moved here and I have no idea where I'm supposed to be." She plucks a paper from sticking out of a hole in my backpack. "It's right here on your schedule." "Schedule? Where would I get a schedule? I don't even officially go to the school yet. You're supposed to be in room 117. She rattles off a complicated series of directions. "Now off you go." And I go. I'm so frazzled that I'm halfway down the main hallway before I glance at the paper that's supposed to be a schedule. It's a schedule, all right, just not mine. At the top of it says, Eliza Parker, grade 8. The kid in the truck. It's Parker McFarmer's schedule. It must have gotten mixed up with my papers when we were gathering up all my stuff. I take 3 steps back in the direction of the office and freeze. I don't want to face that secretary again. There's no way she's going to register me without Stepmonster. And if there's a backlog at the pediatrician's, I'm going to be sitting in the dumb chair all day. No thanks. I weigh my options. It's only a 15-minute walk home, but home isn't really home, and I really don't want to be there any more than I want to be here. If I went to all the trouble of waking up and getting ready for school, then school is where I might as well be. My eyes return to Parker's schedule. Room 117. Okay, it's not my class, but it is a class. And really, who cares? It's not like I'm going to be learning anything in the next 2 months, or at least nothing that I can pick up when I get back to civilization. I'm a pretty good student, and when Stepmonster finally gets here, they can page me and send me to the right place. Not that I'll learn anything there either. I've already learned that one lesson Greenwich Middle School has to teach: 14-year-olds shouldn't drive. That's when I learned lesson number 2. This place is a maze. My school in LA is all outdoors. You step out of class and you're in the gorgeous sunshine. You know where you're going next because you can see across the quad. And the numbers make sense. Here, 109 is next to 111, but the room next to it is labeled storage closet E61-B2. Go figure. I asked a couple of kids who actually try to tell me that there's no such thing as room 117. There has to be, I say to a guy. I'm in it. I show him the schedule, careful to cover the name with the thumb. Wait, his brow furrows. What's, he points to the class description, SCS8. I blink. Instead of normal schedule where you go to a different class every period, it says Parker stays in room 117 all day. Not only that, but under subject, it repeats the code SCS8 every hour except for lunch at 12:08. Oh, here it is. I skipped to the bottom where there's a key explaining what the code means. Self-contains a special 8th grade class. He stares at me. The Unteachables? Unteachables, I echo. He reddens. You know, like the Untouchables. Oh, those kids aren't untouchable. Well, unteachable. Bye. And he rushes off down the hall. And I just know. I can read it in his face, but I don't even need that much information. Where would you stick a guy who could annihilate a backpack with a half-ton pickup truck? The Unteachables are the dummy class. We have a couple of groups like that in my middle school in California, too. We call them the Disorientated Express. But it's the same thing. Probably every school has that. I almost marched down to the office to complain when I remember I've got nothing to claim about. Nobody put me in the Untouchables, just Parker. From what I've seen, he's in the right place. I picture myself sitting in the office all day waiting for stepmonster to arrive, if she arrives. Chancey's health scares, which happens roughly every 8 minutes, stress her out to the point where she can't focus on anything. To quote Dad, "Geez Louise." He really says that, an example of a sense of humor on a non-California branch of my family. So I go to room 117. Turns out it's the far corner of the school, over by the metal shop, and the home and career room and the custodian's office. You have to walk past the gym, and the whole hallway smells like old sweat socks mixed with a faint barbecue scent. It's only temporary, I remind myself. And since my whole time in Greenwich is temporary anyway, it's more like temporary squared. Besides dummy class. Unteachables? So what? Okay, maybe they're not academic superstars, but they're just kids. No different from anybody else. Even Parker. He's a menace to society behind that wheel of that truck. But besides that, he's a normal 8th grader like the rest of us. Seriously, how unteachable can these Unteachables be? I push open the door and walk into room 117. A plum of smoke is pouring out the single-hole window. It comes from a fire roaring in the wastepaper basket in the center of the room. A handful of kids are gathered around it, toasting marshmallows skewed on the end of a number 2 pencils. Parker is one of them. His own marshmallow blackened like a charcoal. Oh my gosh. There's a fire in the wastepaper basket, and they're toasting marshmallows. No fires in school. Hello. An annoyed voice barks, "Hey, shut the door. You want to set off the smoke detector in the hall?" Oh my God. I'm with the Untouchables. Or Unteachables. So what is her name? Do we know her name? I don't even know. Did I get her name? It's not telling me. Oh no, what was the name of the chapter? Kiana. They just never mentioned her name. Okay, so she is from California. Her mom is some kind of actress. Maybe this is her big hit off in Utah. So they send her to the father who's remarried, and they have a little baby that spits up a lot, and the barf smells like cheese. Oh my goodness. And she doesn't have a schedule, and here she is, not really where she should be, not the right class, but maybe that's where she Needs to be. I don't know. Chapter 2 is called Mr. Kermit. All right. It sounds a little scary. Can you imagine going into a room and there's a fire where kids are toasting marshmallows? It sounds like to me that they aren't really rule followers. So maybe it's going to be a little scary. And here's another thing I'm thinking about. Why is she calling her stepmother step monster? Is it just because she really doesn't want to be there? Or is the stepmother really mean? She said she was trying to be nice to her. So maybe she's just deciding not to like her. And so because I've decided not to like her, I'm going to call her step monster. We'll see. Okay, next chapter, did I say? Chapter 2, Mr. Kermit. It's got to be the teacher, right? Who's in charge of them. Let's see what he does when he sees them toasting marshmallows. All right, next time.